I want to share with you some of the whys behind why I'm going down this path of this leadership mastermind experience, and two latest resources that I think are really useful to think about in this new era that we're in terms of creating thriving workplaces. This is, I can send you this after the call if you like. It only came out in May, and it's an article that was in the McKinsey Quarterly, and it talks about these 5 leadership shifts that can, and this is the subheading, 5 leadership shifts that can unleash an era of sustainable, inclusive growth for companies looking to outperform in the era of disruption. So we're living in a world that's very complex, and it means leaders doing things differently. And the other book, the book I would highly recommend, is called The Wise Leader. I happen to have my copy here. And I'd really highly recommend it because it's got some gems in it around how we need to view leadership differently. And we haven't got great role models around the world of world leaders who are doing an exceptional job. There's a lot that aren't very wise. But it talks in there about how leadership development and leadership thinking needs to look different going forward. So here's the shifts where it's going beyond just having additional skills as a leader. It actually means reimagining ourselves. And the big shift is the inner work that needs to happen, which is creating awareness and being a reflector. They're the two things that Paul Lawrence and Susie Skinner in this book talk about is going to be crucial going forward. And so whereas leadership development, and I used to do it as well, I'd do individual coaching with people, they're saying it actually needs to be done more at a group sense. So we're getting away from the ego-driven leader and the command control kind of leader to a more very mindful, conscious leader, and see how they work in interactions with others. And that's why I decided to launch into this group coaching experience. I've done it with in-house teams, but I haven't done it as a public program. But it needs to look different. But it's how leaders don't compete against each other, but how do they collaborate and cooperate with each other. And so they came up with the 5 key things that are being most crucial. And there's a lot on this slide, but I think if you just look through these 2 columns here. So it's going beyond what the focus is, going beyond profit to extending towards more impact. And so a lot of organizations need to think about the circular economy and the impact they're having on sustainability, and being, it can't just keep being growth for growth's sake, but growth for possibility and creating a better world sake. The other shift is around how do you create value. One currently and previously it's around competition. But now it's about how do we co-create? How do we actually be more fluid with working with across teams or across other organizations? What I'm particularly interested in is this one, which is how do we organize, and moving away from the leader being the director or the commander, but more is how do we be a catalyst and how do we collaborate in networks and partnerships. And then the 4th is how do we get work done, whereas work in the past has been very much control orientated and certainty orientated, to more of evolution, being more of a coach. And the last is about how we show up as a professional. And it's, is it about expectations, or is it about wholeness? So the shift here is, and that's why both my group leadership masterminds, one is around how do you create these collaborative skills in working with other leaders, but how do you actually look after the total well-being of people as well? The two streams. Has anyone seen this report, this article that's come out? I can certainly send you the link to it, because it's a wonderful article that talks about it. So if you're interested, I'm going to be sharing just the 2 masterminds that I have and how they actually work. They're starting on the 10th of July, which is a welcome webinar. And basically, I'm inviting 10 leaders into both streams. So one stream is around developing collaborative leadership skills, and the other stream is around learning and leading wellbeing. So I'm just going to explain this one at first. The tool that's used is a 360-degree feedback tool. Many of you have probably seen it. Gail, have you seen this tool? And Len, have you seen this tool before?
Yeah, I have actually. Yeah.
You have,
I've
yeah?
heard of it, but I haven't actually seen it.
Okay. So it's actually a 360-degree feedback tool. And so what it does is you do it on yourself to create awareness. What is my thinking and interactional style with others? Yeah. What is the thinking is the LSI 1, the Lifestyles Inventory 1. How do I see myself? How do I think I'm thinking? And how does that impact others? And then you get 6 to 10 others who give you feedback on how they are experiencing you. And the results come out based on how constructive your style of leadership is, how passive aggressive and how aggressive defensive and how passive defensive. And it gives you a clear picture. Is my view of self similar to what others are experiencing me and how I impact them? And that's the starting point. So after completing that, I would conduct an individual debrief with you, and then you would decide, where do I want to grow? Which area of these blue styles do I want to grow? And what project am I going to put in place so that I know where I'm heading, what I'm aiming for, that you can have the rest of the 10 leaders working in the group coaching context to support you to do that, and to give you some insight of what they've done in their contexts and what seemed to work. So it's basically, after the individual debrief, 6 group coaching sessions held 3 or 4 weeks apart. Given we're starting in July, we had to crunch it a bit and not have it exactly monthly. It's going to be more, because we wanted to finish November. So it's going to be closer to more 3 and 4 weeks apart rather than always 4 weeks apart. And they're 2-hour group coaching sessions. And how they work is there'll be little individual work and paired conversations with other group members of what progress you've made. But then you get 2 hot seat chances for me to coach you in front of the group, and others to have input in what they've done in their setting, so you can learn off them as well. In between sessions, there's going to be a WhatsApp group that you can actually put in your things that's worked, what have you tried, successes, those sorts of things. And the WhatsApp group can have questions that you have in between sessions. So it's a support network. And why I've done that is, Nicola would know this. So I know Nicola through Homeward Bound, and we went to Antarctica together. I have found that WhatsApp group that we have of 88 other women from around the world, it's a brains trust. You can actually ask, has anyone got any information on this? It's collaborators, it's supporters, you know, it's a whole range of things. And I realized how important that is for all of us to have that network of supporters that helps us grow. And so that will happen in between sessions. And then lastly, the sixth final coaching session is you're going to present back what progress you've made on your project and what difference has it made. So the group will hold you accountable to that. So that's that stream. The other stream is around well-being. And so if I hear a lot of people talking about burnout and particularly, don't we, Nicola, in that WhatsApp group, that's a lot of what sits in the STEM fields. There's a pattern of how people behave and how systems work, that people are overworked. Yeah. So it's learning about your own well-being so that you can then lead it in your organization. And I use this tool, and some of you may have seen this tool before. It's called the Global Leadership Wellbeing Survey. And it's the only survey I know that's on the market that combines leadership and well-being in the one tool. So whereas the other tool, the Lifestyles Inventory, is a 360-degree feedback tool, this is just a self-awareness tool. So you would only do it yourself. You don't get others' input. And basically where it came from was looking at what does fully thriving mean for a leader inside of work and outside of work. So working well and living well. What does firing on all cylinders look like? And they came up with these 6 dimensions, and they work each side in terms of working well and living well. One's authentic relationships, one's having a sense of meaning, purpose, and direction. One is around your resilience and ability to bounce back and your sense of calm and equanimity. The other is vitality and energy, is what everyone thinks well-being is about, which is, you know, focused on your health, your nutrition, your exercise and sleep. And then the second last one is balance and boundaries. How do you have boundaries of what's okay and not okay for when working with others? And the last one, even though we haven't got it here for living well, they have extended it now. They just haven't updated the framework, but now intellectual engagement and flow sits on both sides. So you would have like the other stream, an individual 90-minute debrief with me to decide on which of those dimensions are you going to put focus on over the next 5 or 6 months that would make the biggest impact on your well-being. Then come into the group coaching the same way, have the online support through WhatsApp, and then present your findings.